Hello, it is Dani Margeaux with the Magic Exists podcast. I am currently balancing the third dimensional living with fifth dimensional frequency, and this is part 2 of the Akashic Records journey. So, I wanted to talk a little bit more about spirit guides. I feel like we touched only on the surface about spirit guides, and I want to talk about my journey of how it started because a lot of my clients are having that deeper desire to connect with their guides, know their names, know where they're from. And yes, this is all necessary and it is very important to discern who you are connecting to. For example, for the highest dimensional, frequency of unconditional love energy versus maybe not so high vibrational entities. So, yes, all that is important, but a lot of times that is a part of the ego. And sometimes we are just needing to learn more about the energy and the person more than like exactly where that person comes from. I have a really best friend who she knows automatically who's coming through. I think it's such a beautiful gift. I didn't have that when I started, and even now, it's not something that is like I can attune to that quickly. I just know I have a deep knowing and a sense of how high vibrational this being is, and like typically what dimension and what energy and what frequency it's vibrating at. So when I first began entering the records, the person that came through was a light being, and his name was Alfie. He was kind of like a skeletal being, if you can see that, with just like light vibrating off of it. When I now access the records, I hug every being that comes forward, and that is my sign that they are of the highest vibration. That's how I've done it the last 2 years. Now I'm moving into a transition where I am of the highest frequency and the highest vibration, and nothing, absolutely nothing will come through that isn't. And that is another like evolutionary process of deep trust and knowing that I just will absolutely not connect with anything or attract anything that is a fear or a low vibration. And so I don't have those same protocols because my discernment has transmuted and transpired in a whole different reality. But having some kind of code, of a colleague of mine would use like codes, like red, like the lights on the car signs, like red is stop. So no, that's not of your highest good. Green is go. Like, yes, that person's of your highest good. So just working with your guide on that is really important. And you can tell them, or you can ask them. You have that power. And as any relationship in your life, whether it be your mother, your father, your sister, your best friend, your spirit guides are also a relationship. So the more time you're spending with them and cultivating that relationship within the records, the more you will understand and know what you are being told. A mentor once told me it's kind of like you're communicating with a French gentleman and you don't know French, you know English. And so he's telling you all these things really, really quickly. And you are having to tell him, like, no, actually, can you like show me with your hands, show me with this, like, and you're deepening that relationship of communication in different ways that are not English. So that first spirit guide that came forward, his name was Alfie, and he was an energetic energy. I loved it. Like he would give me information very quickly when I would ask. And I probably spent like 2 to 6 months with just him before any other energies came forward. Along the path, though, about maybe a year and a half ago, I realized that Alfie is actually the embodiment and the higher self of my current partner, which is mind blowing when I first discovered that, but makes a lot of sense, especially on the things that my partner and I have been going through, which maybe I'll have a story about that later on as well. But I now have a council of about 12 beings, entities, including my higher self, in the Akashic Records. And a lot of them come and go. Some I don't need anymore, but how they revealed themselves to me was very cyclical and in alignment with my journey. So Alfie came first, and then this lady named Maredra. So it's interesting. When I was around 8, I had a dream for about a year, and it was the same reoccurring dream. And I was scared of it and had a lot of fear around it because I didn't understand like what this was, why I was having the same exact dream with this lady who had like light brown hair and a pink dress and angel wings and like gray like shoes. Like it was just very odd to me. And she like just looked at me. The energy, it didn't feel like something I could understand at the age of 8, but I had that dream and I considered it a nightmare for I had that dream for a whole year. And not until I went into, I believe, like Reiki level 2 or 3, that she appeared to me with my ancestors and my grandma. And oh my goodness, I was so blown away. And she's like, we've been waiting for you. And so she sits on my council. And so whenever I do a Reiki healing, she sits within the Akashic Records and she channels that energy from the divine God source creator into me so that I can bring that in for that Reiki, beautiful universal life force energy into this dimension. If you don't know where Reiki is universal life force energy. And me as a human, I am just a vessel for whatever angelic being is transmuting that energy into this plane. And so that energy, I am not conducting it. I am not creating it. I am just allowing myself to be a vessel for it to come through me. I guess that is conducting, right? So I also have my grandma on my council, which is so beautiful. And oftentimes, a lot of them don't talk, and some do. And for example, I was in a sound bath maybe a year and a half ago, and this ascended master came through. His name was Ken, or yeah, Ken, and I started writing down these like moves, and it was like they were qigong moves. And I don't know qigong. I don't know anything about qigong, but it was as if like I knew the moves already, and I've never discovered that in this lifetime. And so it's already been a year and a half that I've discovered him, and I still have not. He has not really contributed to any of these messages, and I have not dove deeper into qigong at this time because I just know that it's not the right timing as of now. But he sits on my council for support, and like some of the messages that come through, I'm sure he's supporting fully as well. And so just know that as you evolve, different guides will become more available to you and some will step away. For example, Alfie hasn't actually spoken to me maybe like 6 months now. I've been connecting with like my Syrian star family more so in the last 6 months, but he still sits there and it's so beautiful. I have a dragon. His name is Jinlo, and he is this beautiful blue dragon. I didn't know what he was there for in the beginning, and he would just come around and be in the area, and he would be gone sometimes for months and then come back. And so I finally asked him, like, hey, like, what are you? What do you do? And he's like, I'm the protector of your realm, of the Akashic Records. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. So I always feel really protected from him. And I now have a relationship with him he feels masculine. That's why I keep saying him. But he protects my realm in terms of keeping it at the high vibrational energy that I want it to be, the frequency that I have the intention that I'm placing on it. And so that is so, so powerful and beautiful. On my council also sits Mother Teresa. I was born and raised Catholic, and even though I have separated from the church, I still believe in the unconditional love and like the true essence and intention of some of the people that were in that religion, like Jesus and Mary. And so she has not spoken to me, but is there and I know supporting me fully. And there can also be spirit guides that don't sit on your council, but who can come and go to come support you at certain life journeys. I'll give you an example. When I went to Peru in December, I had a feeling I was going to open my light language. And it was a really transformative and empowering retreat. I went with my mentor, Rita. She is so amazing. And the first night there, I got there, they have higher elevation than California. I think it's like plus 7,000 or 9,000. And I was feeling, a little jet lagged. It's a 10-hour flight. I took a red eye. And so the first, honestly, 2 days, I just like drank a lot of water, only did like one activity, and then kind of just read in my room since I knew this was a more soulful inner work. trip. And so that first night was wild because Mary and Jesus came to me and they were like hovering over my bed. And that was the first time they've ever come visit me. And they've come visited me a couple times after, but it was just like really validating that this was like my first spiritual retreat. It was my first solo traveling, and they were just there guiding me in this other country. And I can't tell you, I remember what they said because it was like in the middle of the night, and I was like, woke up thinking, did I dream that, or was that real, or was that in my dream? And then I got that feeling like, no, it was real. You were experiencing it, but it was just like your soul needed that validation to calm your physical body. They are so many beautiful spirit guides. And in the last episode, I spoke how like the Akashic Records is in the seventh dimension, and then my Syrian family, which is 12th dimensional, they reside right above it. And now I have my Atlantean Council that kind of hovers like right next to the Syrian Council. And so when I say that, it's like the energy in which they are vibrating at is a different frequency. What I feel when I'm in the records is so different when I go beyond the records, which is this like galactic energy. And so how I see it now is like my whole council is sitting on a table overlooking the planets on a cliff, and it's so beautiful. But then I go up, like there's a hole. If I can describe it in any way, there's a hole in the ceiling, and then there's a whole nother council sitting above there. And then to the left, there's a whole other council, kind of like an arena, yet they're in their own bubbles. And it's like so powerful and amazing to be able to choose who I speak with, when, and what messages come through. And every person will give me different messages. Like, for example, my children are sitting on my council. There's a little female and a male energy. And I was actually told this by a mentor that they are helping me with my business. And when that validated and resonated within my body, that activated something in me and allowed me to connect with them further because I had been feeling them. And that's the reason why I went to this soul baby reader. And so they help me with my business because they know I need this business to stabilize and feel safe as a human before I have children. And it has been a big journey, this one of wanting and deciding to be a mother. And maybe we'll go into that another time. But all that to say, soul babies do help and give you messages and work with you in the Akashic Records before they are born, because you actually choose your family before you are born. Before you reincarnate here, you and your soul contracts, your soul family, your soul babies pick the family that they want to live with so that they can know themselves more fully. They can evolve together. And so it's kind of an interesting free will versus a destiny kind of situation. And this is a whole nother debate, but I'm just going to touch on this very quickly, where I believe your higher self, your soul, has the free will to choose what it wants to do. It has chosen to reincarnate here with a specific family. And there is no absolute coincidence, absolutely no coincidence on the things that happen in your life. It is just how you perceive it to be. And that is the new thought of the new earth, your perception of the reality that you are living in. And so we are still co-creating. I still have choices in this lifetime, but it is destiny, like the experiences that are happening, but it is my choice how I deal with it and how I handle it and how I navigate it and the timing of everything. So that is a really great segue into timelines, highest timelines, multiple timelines, etc. So the Akashic Records are different from psychic readings. And this is a misconception I have been seeing a little bit, but I think once someone is looking for an Akashic Records reading, they know it's soul guidance. They know it's validation from their soul. They know you're not storytelling or you're not telling the future, which that is something I can see, but it's more like you're telling them things for their highest good. And it has no ego alignment with it. And so what I mean by that is, according to the choices that you have made up to this very second of your life where you get a reading from me, I can see the timeline in which you are standing on and where that's going. And so, for example, you are with a partner and you feel like you are no longer in alignment. You've tried your best. Let's say you're married. And you don't know if you're meant to be with them. Has your soul contract ended? Are you done evolving with that person, or will you evolve better on your own? These are a lot of questions. And I can see, according to your highest timeline, so the timeline that you're on, I can see it on its highest timeline. So let's say, no, actually, you are going to be better off on a higher timeline when you separate and divorce from this person, because actually I can feel your soulmate and I can feel their aura is actually vibrating at the same vibration as you, and I feel their heart chakra is the same vibration. You're working on the same chakra in this lifetime and the same energy. So because I can see that highest timeline, that is the one I reveal to the client. It is rare though, but I do this sometimes. I reveal different timelines that I see that are possible timelines that can occur, which can be very confusing, but just listen and just feel and tune in what's best for you, because how I'm saying it might be different than how you see it, and that's okay. I think there are several timelines that can be happening all at once, and you can jump timelines and be moving through timelines. But I also think there's like a certain path that you're on according to the decisions that you made. So according to the decisions and the thoughts and the choices you've made, there is a certain outcome that is highly probable according to how you've lived your life, the last half of your life, 30 years, whatever. The other timelines are things that could happen because in this moment you could choose differently. So let's say right before the reading, there was absolutely no way you were going to divorce this person, this partner, from this fake story. And after the reading, you just got activated and then you were like, wow, actually, I need to do this. Timelines immediately shift after the reading. And so as you are opening to it, I am seeing these timelines unfold, and I can see like, well, if you do leave this person, this actually would happen. And it's challenging because a lot of people want to know what's going to happen, what's going to be my truth, but they don't realize, or it's a more empowered, high frequency way of being and thinking, to know that there are different timelines out there. And it's actually navigating the timelines, which is like where you are most empowered and sovereign. And knowing that you have that power and that control to co-create life with the universe, with God, universe, source, and yourself. So that is a huge, powerful topic that we can always talk about later as well. Okay, back to the Akashic Records. So other spirit guides that can come forward are past versions of yourself. This is really cool. And if you are opening the records, it is helpful to have someone who's close to you who's also opening them at the same time. My best friend, Chelsea, she was in the Nikki Novo course that I took after her. At the same time, I was opening my records with April Curry. And it was really cool because there were two different instructors and we were learning different ways of accessing the same records. And it was really cool because we both had similar experiences at different time periods. And I can't remember whose was first, but I remember going in one day and I all of a sudden saw all the past versions of me. It was like me as an Indian herbal medicine woman, me as a male who was like not good, negatively polarized, like took a lot of power and ego from his like assistants. There was the version of me that was just a soul going through the planets. There was a version of me that was an old cat lady and had 9 cats and was just destined to be alone. And so there were so many versions of me. And this brought immense emotion to me. And I like cried because it was so beautiful to know how supported I am. Because technically past lives are all happening in the present, as time doesn't exist in the records. And so I can go into different past lives and go into that present moment of that life because it's happening now. And it was so cool being able to talk to all the other aspects of myself that have the same soul. and sitting down with them and talking about my experiences and like what I can do to like better myself in whatever I was working through. And now that I'm saying this, I feel like I'm being called to go back there because it's been about a year since I've, hung out with all the other aspects of me. Okay, so now I want to talk about how the Akashic Records can help you like in the third dimension. And I have been someone who has friends of over 3 decades. So I'm 34. I have my oldest friend is actually 29 years. And I met her when I was 5 years old, and we are still best friends, talk all the time, hang out all the time. And I have friends who I have from high school. So that was what I was 13, so like 21 years. And then I have best friends from college. And then I have best friends that I have met just recently as on a soul level through these courses and collaborations, etc. And it's so amazing and beautiful to be able to see someone's soul without the ego and the conditioning and insecurities. And so, how the Akashic Records has helped me deepen my relationships and my friendships is by tuning into the soul frequency of my friend or partner without the conditioning and the ego. So I will say you do need to ask for permission, but you don't need to ask for permission from the 3D version. This is probably a controversy, and other people will probably tell you differently. I always ask for permission, but I ask my higher self and then I ask their higher self. If it's for their highest good, then that's okay in my opinion, and I know a lot of my teachers agree with that. But there might be people out there who don't, because they're like, well, the 3D version, the human version needs to know. And I don't think that's true. I think as long as it's for their highest good and my intention is for my heart space, then that's okay. And so I will sometimes, if I'm like feeling neglected or feeling hurt by a friend's decisions or choices, I will ask my higher self to, if that was okay, I would connect with their higher self and I would find out what's going on. And typically, a lot of things that go on in our friendships, in our relationships, have nothing to do with us. It's just how they are processing their triggers, traumas, stress, etc., and it's being projected onto us. Unless we heal our own triggers, then we will continually be in the pattern of being hurt in our relationships and in our partnerships. And the Akashic Records is so beautiful that I am able to move above the ego and the conditioning and the insecurities. And I can connect and be like, what's going on with this friend right now? Why am I feeling so distant and alienated or like not supported? And they'll be like, well, this person's actually going through this right now and this, and it's like the depth of what they're going through. And it just, they don't have the capacity for that right now. Just offer them love. And I'll do like little healings on my friends. And now some of them, will just text me and ask me like, hey, can you send me a healing? Like, yes, absolutely. I am here for the collective mission of all of us to get every single person on the fifth dimensional heart rate chakra energy. The new earth energy is my goal, is the collective mission. The more we work together, the more we can be together in oneness, which is the goal, instead of moving away from separation, the negative polarity of all. But the records has helped me deepen the relationships that I have because I can transcend the insecurities. And with that, I now have coaching mechanisms or coaching resources that I am able to look at those triggers from what my higher self or this higher self, told me, heal those triggers within me, those insecurities within me of not feeling supported, needing more attention, needing whatever that is that I'm seeking, and being able to heal within me. And so now I can give more vulnerably. I can give more lovingly without the fear of being rejected, because if I'm being rejected, I know it has nothing to do with me. It has all to do with them. And I think that's a place of true empowerment, which I wish for everyone. And you don't have to access the records to do this. I learned this through my Alyssa Nobriega's coaching certification last year. I know internal family systems, which is a specific therapy technique, uses like techniques to get to root cause issues. There's breath work that can like help facilitate on a somatic level and help clear the mind chatter. There's so many techniques out there that can help you transcend the insecurities and the ego. And that's, I think, what helps with the Akashic Records is aligning your energy to the frequency of the records and bringing that into your aura so that you understand the difference between what is divine God energy and what is ego and what is this third dimensional energy. And once I was able to differentiate, I understood there's no place for doubt. There's no place for unworthiness. There's no place for not enoughness, that fear of being seen, that fear of not being loved, like all those fears. There's no room for that in the fifth dimension because it doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean it's not valid and you're not experiencing it. It's like, how can you move about it? How can you transcend beyond that? And there's so many ways, like I just said, therapy, coaching, somatic healing, Akashic Records, healings, energetic healings, Reiki, quantum healings, recoding your DNA. It's just something in order to reprogram your subconscious mind's pattern and behavior in order to align with your current core values. And if you don't have them, then just create an intention to see what your core values are and align to those frequencies. For me, it's vulnerability, authenticity, and unconditional love and compassion are my core values. I know that deep in my heart, that is the essence of my being. And if I don't live out from those frequencies, I feel not good. I feel contractual. I feel like really disassociated with my soul authentic frequency. And so what helps me and why my Akashic record training is so rigorous and why I go 3 hours a week at least is because I need to continually align my frequency to that seventh dimensional energy in order to feel in alignment with that inner peace in this third dimension. It is very challenging to have access to this beautiful universal wisdom and then have to come back into this physical world. It is something that I am working on, and if this is something that you have a challenge around currently, my advice is find the intuitive practice that works for you, that introspective, reflective practice that works for you, and create consistent rituals and intention behind it. For me, that is waking up every morning. I hold my hands over my heart and I say, my intention today is to come from a place of unconditional love of the highest vibration in every single thing I do and say today. That intentionality brings me heart energy, heart frequency throughout the rest of the day, and it carries me and helps support me because I am not alone on this planet. And that's something I want to bring up as well. A lot of times we think it's the victim reality, which is a false reality, is like everything happens to me. It's not for me. Everyone else gets to do this, gets to heal, and not me. This always happens to me, and that is a really low vibration. And when we are able to transcend and transmute this energy, we realize we have so much support. Now that I'm connecting to the land and the trees and the wind specifically, actually, I am able to ask for support from those energies. So when I'm taking a walk and I am so tired because I had a long day and I have like a reading in an hour, what do? I connect to Earth, I connect to Pachamama, and I say, can you please give me support? I envision her energy coming from the crystalline grid at the center of her heart. I imagine it coming up like roots of a tree into my legs, into my body to support me and help align my energy to her and be supported. And this is such a powerful tool that I think everyone could benefit from. And I want to say right now, the frequency energy of improvement or impactment that I've been feeling is about like maybe 10 to 12%. So if I'm feeling drained after like a party, like hanging out with friends at the beach or something, and then I have to like go out to go do something else, I ask for that support. And I will say, I feel like about a 10 to 12% increase of energy, of physical energy I receive after asking for that support. So just know that it is a two-way street. It's not like you have to wait for your spirit guides to like show you a sign, which they will if you ask them. But it's also like knowing you have the power to co-create this life with them, and you can ask for that support. And the more you cultivate that relationship and go back and forth, the more you will have a deep, deep, deep connection of knowing and trust and authenticity. All right, I think that's it for us today on the Akashic Records. A couple of the episodes I'm thinking are talking about are the quantum realm, light codes, maybe levels of consciousness, astral projection, epigenetics, coaching, all ways to transcend this physical experience into the physical reality. Thank you for being here. If you're interested in more topics like this, please subscribe or like to my channel. And I'm sending you oceans of love today and always.